On a blistering day in Buckhorn Crossing, rancher Cade Ellison heard a whisper from the stock pens. "Please take me with you." He knew if he turned away, the guilt would ride him to his grave. They never forget the ones they couldn't save. Cade Ellison knew it. 17 years had blown past like alkali dust, still gritting his teeth. He was leading 2 steers through the Buckhorn Crossing stockyard when a worn thread of sound tugged him aside. Not a cry. A prayer run down to a whisper. He looked past feed sacks and a sagging rail. In the corner of a gray pen, a young woman sat trussed, arms pinned, shoulders bowed from the rope's bite. The dress had been Sunday white. Now it clung like surrender. One eye held him steady. Their gaze met. No speech, only breath. "Please, take me with you." A man in a greasy vest slid from shadow, chewing straw. "Ain't much to look at," he said, hitching a thumb her way. "But she'll fetch fare down Abilene." Cade didn't answer. He took out the slip he'd been saving, the bill for his oldest steer, and held it where the sun could read it. The grin went wider. Paper changed hands. It was a bad deal. Cade paid it like a tithe. He cut the rope himself. Hemp came away slow, leaving dents. She rose unsteady, clutching a small burlap sack patched at the corner. Oil had darkened one seam. "Can you ride?" he asked. "I can stay on." He braced a hand for her boot. The mare snorted and settled. Cade swung up behind, took the reins, and eased them out. He felt the seller's stare like a tack. A man at the freight shed shut a ledger and watched too long. Cade kept a quiet walk until the yard noise thinned, then pointed east to the river road. The girl held to the sack and said nothing. That was fine. A wound speaks worst when pressed. At the ford he let the mare drink and passed up a canteen. She swallowed twice, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, and met his eyes. "Name's Lena," she said. "Cade. Thank you. Save it. We're not clear." They moved again, skirting town where cottonwoods begin and the road forgets its manners. Cade kept them between the forge and the saloon, and in neither. On the ridge, a freight wagon stood half-loaded. A man there closed a book with care, then looked down their way. Cade felt the old ache stir. He had been late once. He would not be late again. By the time Buckhorn's roofs fell behind, Lena's breathing had evened. She rode small and stubborn. "You're safe while you ride with me," he said at last. He didn't look at her when he said it. Promises sit better that way. She nodded. "Safe is a word I ain't used in a while." "Use it some." They reached the river by sundown. Water slid brown and slow, a bright line drawn with a steady hand. Cade loosened the cinch and helped her down. Pride braced her knees where muscle wouldn't. He lit a small fire in the lee of a rock and set coffee to boil. Silence took the rest. A man can hear his mind when folks keep quiet. When the first star came, she spoke low. "How far to your place?" "An hour, if the dark holds. I can make an hour." "You already did." He kicked dirt over the flame, cinched up, and put her back in the saddle. Night laid itself over the flats. He kept to the river road where sand keeps prints and cottonwoods keep your secrets. Back at the yards, a door shut careful. Papers rustled. A name went down in slow ink. Trouble found its hat. Someone lifted a lamp inside. The cabin sat where cottonwoods bent to drink. Cade swung down, tied the mare loose, and eased the door with his boot. Inside held a table rubbed to pale, a cook stove, and a bed rolled tight against the wall. "Sit," he said. He poured from the bucket, set the dipper in her hand, and turned away so she could be small without witness. She drank in short pulls, careful, as if water might run off and leave her again. He put beans to warming and sliced salt pork thin. The room filled with a smell that forgives. She watched the pan like a campfire, steadying. He set her a plate, tore a heel of bread, and pushed the coffee across. She ate quiet, shoulders easing by inches. When she was done, he washed the tinware. stacked it edge to edge, then shook out clean blankets on the bedroll. "You take the bed," he said. "I'll take the floor." "Not tonight." She hesitated, then nodded once. Pride can share a room with mercy if neither talks loud. He stepped out to pump water. The handle complained and then caught a rhythm. Years ago, another handle had snapped in his hand as a barn burned and a voice he loved was swallowed. He set that thought back on its shelf and kept the water coming. When he went in, she stood at the window, face to the dark, sack clutched under her chin. "If they come," she said, "I won't hide." "You won't have to." "I was sold with a paper," she said. "They'll wave it like a flag." "Paper lies easier than a man's eyes. We'll read it when it's shoved under my nose." She looked at him full, measuring. "Why are you doing this?" 17 years, he said. That was all he gave. She let out a breath she'd been keeping. "My people were farmers, Brazos country. Debt came riding in polished boots. The land went, then I did. The sack is all I stole back. Not money, just names. Names matter. I mean to keep mine." "Then you will." He banked the stove and pulled a chair by the door. "Sleep. I'll sit a whiles." "You won't rest." "I'll rest enough." She laid down with her boots off and her hand on the sack. Sleep took her faster than fear could argue. Cade listened to the old house talk, timber settling, a mouse testing the flour bin, wind fingering the eaves. Outside, the river slid on, patient. Near midnight, the mare stamped once and settled. Cade eased the door and looked into the yard. The night was awash of ink and faint stars. He stood long enough to learn there was nothing to learn, then closed the door and set the bar. Dawn came clear as a lantern globe. He scrambled eggs, heated yesterday's biscuits, and brewed coffee stout enough to shoe a mule. Lena woke to the smell, blinked, and sat up with a hand on the sack before she remembered where she was. "You're safe," he said. She nodded. "Safe, then coffee." He smiled without showing teeth. She ate like a person who meant to do things. "We'll ride into town after breakfast," he said. "Buy you boots that fit and a dress that's yours. Then I've got fence to mend." "You think they'll let it be?" "No." She tied her hair back with a strip torn from her hem. The change made her look less breakable. "If they bring the paper, we'll look a man in the eye and read his paper out loud where folks can hear. Some things shrink in daylight." They saddled after breakfast. Cade handed Lena old boots he'd kept by luck, near enough her size. She stood straighter. "We'll go to town," he said. Whatever comes, I ride." The sack hung from her shoulder like a kept vow. Hoofbeats rolled up the track, slow, showing themselves. 3 riders. The lead sat tall, hat slanted as if the sun were his. Cade stepped to the porch and let the screen door ease shut. The Winchester leaned inside where he could reach it without hurry. "Morning, Cade," the lead said. "You've got something that belongs to me." "Name it." "The girl." He let the word hang. "Bought and paid. Paper says so." "Paper says many things." Cade felt Lena stop in the doorway. "Who's talking, Rafe? You or the clerk who sold you the ink?" Rafe Maddox tipped his hat. He brought a folded sheet from his coat. "Bill of sale. Witnessed?" "Let it breathe," Cade said. Rafe held it out. Cade looked as a man looks at a horse's teeth. The seal read, "Red Rock," but the die wasn't true. The ring went shallow on one side, deep on the other. The date spoke Tuesday. The bank shuts its window Tuesdays. The cashier's name trailed a lazy tail the real man never used. "Where'd you pick this up?" Cade said. "Abilene business is brisk." "Brisk isn't right. It's enough." Rafe's eyes cut past Cade. "Girl, step down. I'll not drag you if I don't have to." Lena didn't move. "I won't be stepped." Rafe's smile thinned. "Cade, You can dress it up, but she's property. The world runs on bills and seals. I know a person isn't a wagging tongue. Cade folded the paper and set it on the rail where the sun could find every lie. You want her? Bring a judge, a marshal, and a clean seal. One of the men behind Rafe shoved his hat back. We could take her now. You could try, Cade said. He didn't raise his voice or move his hand. He let the doorframe hold his shoulder and the silence do the counting. The mare blew once. A fly walked the seal. Rafe watched it, then looked up. You never were a businessman, he said. That's why I sleep. Rafe tucked the paper like a preacher pocketing a sermon. By sundown, then, I come back with men who understand commerce. I'll be here. Rafe wheeled his horse. When they were far enough for honesty, Cade let out the breath he'd been holding. You saw his eyes, Lena said. I did. He kept watching the road. Saddle the spare, bring the sack. You mean to run. I mean to leave before he brings company. He lifted the Winchester and slid 6 into the tube with the respect a man gives a tool. We ride to Buckhorn. There are folks who stand where paper trembles. Alma Carver, Lena said. She stood for a girl once. Her and Tess at the wire. We'll make the law listen before guns have to. Lena cinched the spare like she'd done it all her life. Cade checked the girth and swung up. He looked once at the cabin. A man leaves different when he means to come back. They took the river road at a walk, then a trot. Cottonwoods gave back a little shade. Over town a bell rang, noon slow. Cade set their pace to the sound and to a thought he meant to keep. If trouble was coming, he would meet it where voices carry and witnesses write their names. Soon. That was the plan. Keep moving. They reached Buckhorn Crossing before the sun tipped. Cade put the mare through Alma Carver's gate. Alma came out wiping her hands. You bring shade with you, Cade Ellison. Trouble, he said. We mean to face it where folks can hear. Her eyes went to Lena's sack. Come in. Doors that swing both ways still count as shelter. She looked at Lena's feet. Boots, next door. I've got a dress that's yours. Ben Two Feathers nodded from the forge. Cade unsaddled and handed Lena down. Alma vanished to a back room and returned with plain calico and a blue kerchief. No charge, Alma said. I pay my way, Lena said. You will, Alma said. Not for mercy. Cade crossed the alley to the telegraph. Tess Hartwell sat behind the key. Afternoon, Cade. I need a wire to the U.S. Marshal, Eli Booker. What's riding on it? Interstate trade, forged paper. She tapped, listened, then nodded. Lines clear. Say this, he said. Buckhorn Crossing, Red Rock County, Kansas. Rafe Maddox of Maddox Freight presents bill of sale for a living woman. Seal wrong. Date wrong. We will read paper aloud before witnesses. Request Federal Eye. Woman is Lena Marlowe. Statement to come. Signed, Cade Ellison. Tess sent and wrote. 2 copies, Cade said. One for Sheriff Garner, one for Alma. The door opened on a draft of heat. Deputy Walt Driggs stepped in, badge dull. Heard you stirred dust. I sent a legal wire, Cade said. Legal's a big word. Fits a big wrong? Sheltering stolen goods, Driggs said. Sheltering a citizen from a liar, Tess said, not looking up. Read before you talk. He skimmed it. Marshal Booker, you aim high. County ladder's missing rungs, Cade said. Careful you don't fall. I keep my feet. Driggs left. Tess slid a receipt across. It's riding? Back at the livery, Lena stood in calico, kerchief, knotted simple. Alma poured coffee. Eat a biscuit, then talk straight. Cade laid out the morning. The pen, the rope, the greasy cellar, Rafe, and the lying paper. We'll do this on the porch with witnesses, Alma said. Ben, fetch your book. Tess can stand on time. I'll stand on place. And Sheriff, Cade said, he'll need proof. So we line it up where no one trips. The porch is a court if the town keeps quiet. She set a lamp on the table. Night code, 2 short, 1 long, means eyes watching. If you see it in my window, hold your tongue and your fire. Understood, Cade said. Lena touched the burlap. If they shove that paper at us, I want it read out loud. It will, Alma said. Ben came in wiping filings. Maddox men up by Red Ridge turnoff, counting heads. How many? Cade said. 4, at least. Cade looked to the street. Heat lay over it like hammered brass. We sleep here, he said, inside earshot. Neighbors cut 2 ways, Alma said. We'll take ours. If they come, we don't run, Lena said. Not tonight, Cade said. Tonight we make room for the law to find us. The sun slid lower. A clerk shut his book and lit a lamp. Cade cleaned his rifle, checked the door bar, then took a chair facing the street. He let the quiet spread. In that calm, a man can count what he's willing to pay. He found his number and set it down inside where it wouldn't blow away. Evening slid over Buckhorn like a lid. Alma trimmed the porch lamp, 2 short, 1 long, then dark. We keep the porch, Alma said. If paper comes, we read. Lena nodded. If knives come, I won't freeze. Small circle, Cade said. Alley to the wire, back by the corrals. They slipped into the cut locals called Mesquite Narrows, a tight run between livery and freight shed. A pebble ticked. Cade's hand rose. Hold. A shape peeled from the shed, knife bright like a sliver of moon. Above, a second man crouched on the roof with a coil of rope. Back, Cade said. The knife came first. Cade stepped into it and hammered the wrist. Steel rang. The roofman dropped his loop for Lena. She slipped aside, pulled Cade's belt gun, and thumbed the hammer. The shot cracked plaster from the freight sign. You've got 2 seconds, she said. The roofman scrambled. His jacket tore. Something small pinged off the siding and skittered. The knifeman shouldered past and ran for the far mouth of the cut. Cade let the echo drain and crouched where the thing had fallen. A silver button lay in the grit, chased with scrollwork. Tiny letters showed when the light found them. R.M. Rafe Maddox doesn't sew with silver, he said. His coat might. He slid the button into his vest. Alma's lamp blinked, 2 short, 1 long. Ben came down the alley, saw 2 shadows lose their nerve. They left a card, Cade said. Neighbors heard the shot, Alma said when they reached the porch. I told 'em a sign fell. She studied Lena's hands. You shook after or before? After, Lena said. Before I was mad. That beats fear, Alma said. In the morning, Cade said. We read Rafe's paper out loud. Tess marks time. Sheriff gets a copy. The button goes in the packet. Ben nodded. Silver, ranch made. I know the stamp. Maddox trades there. Lena laid the revolver on the table. I didn't aim to kill. You aimed to live, Cade said. They bedded under the front room window where boards squeal if a foot tests them. Cade dozed in inches. The lamp blinked once more, 2 quick, 1 long. Then the town held. Dawn pressed under the blinds. Alma set biscuits and coffee. You'll want Sheriff Garner and a voice that doesn't wobble. Tess, Cade said. They took the street. Sun made a road of dust. Buckhorn liked to see business done early. Cade put the copy of Rafe's bill on the rail where straight light could not be argued with. Rafe came at a walk that pretended friendly. 2 men hung back. Deputy Driggs crossed from the alley. Morning, Rafe said. Shall we finish commerce? We shall read, Alma said. Town's listening. Cade held the bill high and read seal, date, names. Tess marked time. At the cashier's scrawl, Ben spoke mild. Wrong hand. The real man doesn't drag his tail. Rafe smiled with his mouth, not his eyes. Technical talk? Truth is a technicality, Cade said. He set the silver button by the bill. Your roofman lost this. It matches your scroll. Fetch him to claim it. A murmur ran the rail. Rafe's men looked smaller. Driggs tapped the seal, shallow on one side. "It was last night," Cade said. "Witness then, witness now." Rafe's jaw worked. "You think a porch makes a court?" "No," Cade said. "People do." The street held its breath. "People make a court when they stand and listen," Cade said. Rafe's smile fell. "You'll talk yourself dry, Ellison. I'll be back with men who understand paper." Sheriff Whit Garner pushed through. "You'll be back with a judge if you come at all. Till then, nobody moves anybody." Rafe weighed the room, found no purchase, and turned his horse. Garner took the bill, turned it, grunted at the seal. "Bring your witnesses to Alma's. We'll set words where they can be remembered." Alma held the door. Back room. Inside, heat thinned. Lena set her burlap sack on the table and opened it with hands trained not to spill fear. She drew out a small photograph, 2 under an oak, and a paper stiff with age. "Brazos Bank," Garner read. "Marlowe, track 3. "My father's name," Lena said. "Debt took it, then they took me." Garner nodded. "We'll copy every mark. You'll swear to it." Ben Two Feathers bent to the bill. "Die's wrong. My uncle cut the county ring. That bite isn't his hand." "Say it under oath," Cade said. "I can say it." Tess Hartwell slid in with her ledger. Marshal Booker answered, "Hold position, document chain, no movement of person until hearing." Federal voice. Garner hung his hat. "All right, Lena, speak your name as you want it kept." "Lena Marlowe," she said. "I mean to keep it." Tess wrote it clean. Alma set coffee by Lena's elbow and a square of bread, then looked away so the shake could leave Lena's hand. Cade laid the silver button beside the Brazos paper. "RM for Rafe Maddox. Oil reads saddle work." Ben nodded. "Pike's shop made that. Paid by Maddox Freight." Garner looked from paper to faces. "That's witness, that's exhibit. We'll make a packet. Tess, wire a summary and hold the copies." "Already tied," Tess said. Alma cracked the back door. Driggs walked by twice without blinking. A man that quiet wants something loud. "If he grabs," Garner said, "he does it without a badge." "Then don't blink," Alma said. The room went to work. Read slow, copy slower, say names out loud so they'd stick. Cade felt the old ache tap his shoulder and leave. 17 years has a way of coming to the door and walking off when the house stands firm. By mid-afternoon, the packet had weight. Garner tied it, dripped wax, pressed his ring. "This goes to Judge Sutter at first light. I'll sit on it till sunrise." "What about nightfall?" Lena asked. "We hold the porch," Alma said. "2 short, 1 long if eyes are watching." "Rafe won't wait on courts," Cade said. "He doesn't have to," Garner said. "We do." They ate early and said little. Near dusk, Tess brought word. Riders on Red Ridge cutting sign toward town. "Half-moon business," Ben said. "Let them lay their arc," Cade said. "We'll be the string." Lena folded the sack, tied it with fresh twine. She slipped the photo back, kept the bank paper in her lap. "If they break in here, I won't hide." "You'll stand where we can see you," Cade said. "That's all the world asked of me once. I learned late." Lamps went low. Boots moved outside. Alma set porch lamp and took her chair. The town waited too. Somewhere a horse blew. Cade checked his rifle, then set it aside. He opened his hands and let the day rest in them. They held it on Alma Carver's porch at sundown. Cade stood by the door, Lena beside him, Sheriff Garner on the rail like a bench. Alma set the lamp low. Ben Two Feathers wiped his palms. Tess Hartwell brought a ledger and a pencil. Garner cleared his throat. "We'll read what this paper claims, then set truth against it. Speak plain." Rafe Maddox didn't show. Cade laid the copy of the bill on a crate and read from seal to date to the cashier's scrawl. He set a silver button by it. "This came off a coat when a man tried to rope her in Mesquite Narrows." Lena lifted her chin. He pulled for me like I was stock. I fired high. He ran. Ben leaned in with a ground lens. Seal's wrong. Red Rock's dye bites even. This one limps. Rim shallow on one side, deep on the other. My uncle cut the county ring, not his bite. Tess wrote, seal inconsistent. Garner nodded. Date says Tuesday. Bank runs short Tuesdays. Cashier at the county seat. Name here drags a lazy tail. The real hand ties it tight. Alma looked to the street. Say her name. Lena Marlowe, Lena said. Garner set a Brazos Bank paper beside the bill. Texas tracked once in her family, not proof against the sale, but proof she has a place. A boot scraped the step. Deputy Walt Driggs eased into Lantern Edge. You folks building a court out of broomsticks. We're building memory, Alma said, the kind a judge can use. Driggs picked up the button, tested its weight, set it down. You mean to hang Maddox on a trinket? No, Cade said. On a pattern, false seal, wrong day, roped ambush, and there's a freight ledger loose if I can lay hand on it. Ledger, Driggs said. Garner met his eye. You got cause, you stand. You got orders to break this up. They better wear a judge's seal. Driggs smiled with one corner. Do as you like. Some sales don't need banks. Slavery doesn't either, Tess said. You talk big for a key tapper, Driggs said. I tap for the United States when it pays me, she said, and it just did. Lena set her hand on the bill. Read the part that calls me property. Cade read it like a man reading his name in an obituary. When he finished, quiet sat heavy. Now you, Alma told Lena. Lena faced the rail. I did not sell myself. I was taken under threat and marched like freight. I do not consent. I will not return. If there is law in this county, it will keep me on my feet. Garner raised his right hand. I'll carry this packet to Judge Sutter at dawn. I won't let it out of my sight tonight. Cade slid the button into an envelope and wrote the letters on the flap. Ben signed. Tess dated it. Driggs tugged his hat. You paint a fine picture. Hope it hangs. It will, Alma said. Garner buckled his folder. No one walks alone, he said. I'll take a cot in the livery office. Coffee when you stir, Alma said. Cade looked at Lena. She kept her palm on the table. He set his hand beside it without touching. We hold, he said. We hold, she said. The lamp went lower. Voices thinned. Buckhorn stayed. Cade watched the street until it lost shape, then let his eyes close, one at a time. A horse stamped. The boards underfoot breathed like old timber remembering work and work ahead. Sleep set its terms and took a little. Morning would judge. After the porch cleared, Alma lowered her lamp and sent us to the alley. Tess left the telegraph door on the latch. Line ticked. She slid on the headpiece and touched the key like taking a pulse. Traffic east, she said. Hold. Garner sat with a folder under his arm. Cade stood behind the desk. Lena watched the tape crawl. The sound rose and steadied. Tess wrote fast. Code from Maddox to Buckhorn Bank, then Red Ridge, RM, BB, A2. Another. Paper weak, witnesses loud, take girl by dawn, use drummer's cut. Blind corner by the elevator, Ben said from the door. Keep every shred, Garner said. A hinge squealed. Deputy Walt Driggs filled the doorway, badge dull. Line open? It is, Tess said. Then hand me the tape. No, Garner said. Sheriff, I'm county too. Not this room. Need to see what a citizen says about a businessman. His trouble lies where the ink does. Stand easy. He stepped in. Alma set herself between his hand and the desk. Ben held a hoof rasp low. Present, not raised. Tess tore the strip, numbered it, wrote the minute and her name, laid it to dry, and fed the wheel again. More traffic, the key stuttered, then smoothed. From Red Ridge, half circle before sun, whistle twice and ride in. From the bank, funds clear on delivery, clerk will deny. Garner's mouth thinned. There's your link, he told Cade. Bank to freight to muscle. Driggs snorted. Tess said, Dots pulled a railroad west. They'll pull a warrant too. He grabbed for the drying slips. Alma's palm landed first. Don't. Alma, this town taught me please, she said. It never taught me to move my hand for the wrong ask. 2 short, 1 long tapped the wall. Eyes on us, Ben said. Garner stood. Clear out or clear your badge. Jaw working, Driggs turned and went. He listened. Quiet. Print every copy, Garner said. Right. Tess set the wheel to spit tape and read as it came. Initials, car numbers, timestamps, pinning Red Ridge to the minute. Relay note, Pike, she said. Likely the banker. Horace Pike runs Buckhorn Bank, Alma said. Write it, Garner said. They built a packet, wire slips and copies, Tess's notes, Ben's line on the false die, Cade's statement, Alma's porch witness, Lena's name in her own hand. Cade sealed an envelope and wrote across the flap, chain unbroken. Garner pressed wax and set his ring. The bite was true. Dawn, Garner said, I'll walk it to Sutter. You will walk, Alma said. They stepped to the alley. Night went close and cool. Across the street the bank window brightened, then darkened. The freight shed stood ajar. A shape shifted behind slats and went still. Cade let the town feel its own breath. We put men where paper trembles, he said. Morning the rest. If they come before morning, Lena asked. They'll find us awake, Cade said. Tess locked the office. Alma barred her door. Ben wedged the livery gate and took his post. Garner settled with the packet under his arm. Half circle before sun, Tess said. Then will be the chair they can't move, Cade said. They took positions. Alma at the lamp, Tess by the key, Garner on the rail, Ben in the dark, Lena over the Brazos paper, and Cade at the threshold, ready for what came out of the night. Dawn came thin. Alma's lamp blinked 2 short, 1 long. Riders slid from the gray and set a half circle before the livery. Rafe Maddox sat the middle tallying. Cade stood in the doorway, hands open. Lena kept the Brazos paper on the table. Sheriff Garner held the packet. Ben Two Feathers waited by the hitch. Tess watched the wire. Keep it tidy, Rafe called. She steps out, Garner said. Federal wire, no movement until hearing. A rope swung. Cade looked at it. The loop died. Paper's clean, Rafe said. Read, Tess said. Cade read. Seal wrong. Day wrong. Cashier's hand wrong. He set a silver button on the rail. R.M., Ben said. Pike's stamp. Lena stepped up. My name is Lena Marlowe. I do not consent. If you take me, say your names to the town. Garner lifted the packet. I walk this to Judge Sutter now. Any hand on me answers by noon. You won't make Red Ridge? Rafe said. I'll take Maine. Alma moved beside him. Doors opened. Rafe weighed it. The rope man coiled smaller. Morning's got small hands, Cade said. Rafe glanced at freight and bank, saw a shade twitch. Walk your paper, he said. We'll collect later. Garner stepped off with Alma and Ben. Rafe flicked 2 riders toward Red Ridge at a slant. Courier run, Tess said. Ledger, Cade said. Drummer's cut, Ben said. Hold the porch, Cade told Lena. I will. They slid into the alley. Leather spoke soft. Rafe held his half circle and waited on news. Cade and Ben moved behind the telegraph, skirting the bank. A whistle blew twice on the ridge. The cut ran between the elevator and a clay wall. Fresh hoof marks scored dust. A rider loped in, Lyle Fenn. Alive if we can, Cade said. He eased the mare across the near mouth. Ben walked the mule to block the far. Lyle saw 1, not 2, and drove harder, feeling the mule he cut for the wall. Cade caught the hackamore, slapped the barrel aside, crowded him with a shoulder. They turned and stopped crooked. Hands, Cade said. Lyle showed them. Ben had him in 1 throw and half hitch. Cade drew the satchel. Ledger, Ben said. Copy and seal, Cade said. He goes too. No court, Lyle spat. By noon, Cade said. They marched him back by backlots. At the alley, Tess warmed the key. Alma's lamp blinked. Lena stood in the doorway. On Main, the half-moon held, smaller now. Rafe watched the alley. They tied Lyle to a chair the wagoner's way. Tess brought blotter and string. Cade opened the satchel. Numbers, weights, dates. A page tagged BB with delivery deny. Another with RM and Pike's neat hand. Bank to freight to muscle, Tess said. Alma set coffee by Lyle's hands. Drink while you can tell it straight. You'll hang me, he said. Not if you help the weight find the right neck, Cade said. Lena stood closer. Say my name. He swallowed. Lena Marlowe. A whistle blew twice and got no answer. Rafe turned his horse to listen. Cade slid the ledger into an envelope and wrote, Chain unbroken. Tess dated it. Ben pressed wax with Garner's spare ring. We hold, Cade said. We hold, Lena answered. Rafe stayed. Morning climbed the bank windows. News would find him soon enough. When it did, he would have to choose. Daylight would say what was left of that. Ben peeled off the Main Street escort at the first corner and came back light-footed, leaving Alma to walk Sheriff Garner and the packet in plain sight. Rafe watched both lanes like a gambler with two bad hands. Word would reach him soon. Buckhorn measured us from doorways. We had Lyle Fenn tied to a chair in Alma's front room. Wrists crossed the wagoner's way. Tess set her ledger on the table. I opened the satchel. The book smelled of oil and dust. Names, Tess said. Lyle Fenn, he muttered. Say the rest, Alma told him. His eyes slid to Lena. I drove freight. You drove me, she said. I hauled one body under canvas, Lena Marlowe. Orders marked RM. Pick up Red Ridge. Deliver Abilene pens. Pay through Buckhorn Bank. Clerk said deny if asked. Tess wrote. Sign. She set the page. He pressed his name. Ben held the silver button to the lamp. Pike's shop scroll, I'll swear. Chain of custody, Tess said, tapping the margin. Ledger seized at Drummer's Cut, hour marked. Button at Mesquite Narrows, hour marked. Bill of sale examined on Alma's porch, witnessed. Boots scraped. Deputy Walt Driggs came in, badge dull. Turn it over. Evidence stays, Alma said. It walks to Judge Sutter, I said. You're in my county, he said. You're in my doorway, Alma said. He studied us, then Lena. Come easy if you know your place. She knows it, I said, on her feet. He left. His boots talked about coming back. We copied the ledger page by page, initialed each, tied them with cotton string. Tess stamped dates. Ben pressed wax. Alma added her name where paper needed steel. Lyle stared at the floor and shook. You'll walk with us, I told him. You'll say the same under oath. He nodded. I'm done being used. Noise swelled and broke. Rafe rode up alone, hat low. Give me the girl and the book, Ellison. I'll leave the town unburned. You leave with nothing, I said. Then I take it. You tried, Alma said. Your man dropped a button. Rafe's eyes found the window. A town can be made to forget. Not this one, Tess said. The wire remembers. He tried the old voice. You sleep lighter now. I sleep honest, I said. He turned his horse and rode the street like he owned it. The street didn't notice. Men swept, women watered. That cut deeper. Near noon, Garner came back, packet fatter. Judge Sutter sees us at 2, he said. Marshal Booker wires, hold all persons and papers, bring the witness. Rafe stopped at the corner to listen with his whole face. He heard it too, or read it in how the town leaned. Garner looked at Lyle. Ready to tell it where it counts. Lyle nodded at Lena. Ready. Garner tied him to his own belt. He slipped the sealed ledger into oilskin and slung it. No detours, he said. Alma set her lamp by the window. 2 short, 1 long if trouble rides. Ben checked his farrier's hammer and handed me my Winchester. No speeches. No speeches. We stepped into the light as a body. Sheriff, witnesses, the girl who kept her name, the man who meant to trade it, and a town that had decided which side of the rail it stood on. A key sang at the depot. We moved. The chain held. We let the town breathe and kept our line tight. The clock would swing the hammer at 2. Ready. The courthouse sat clean as a ledger. We walked in together. Sheriff Garner with the packet, Lena steady, Alma and Ben and Tess close, Lyle Fenn on a lead, and me carrying what years had taught. Judge Ephraim Sutter watched us over spectacles. Beside him stood U.S. Marshal Eli Booker, a man who kept his promises. Garner laid the sealed bundle down. "Chain unbroken," he said. "Call your witnesses," Sutter said. Tess read the wire slips, the bank initials, the note about Drummer's cut. She spoke like a clock. Ben swore to the county die. "The ring bite is wrong. My uncle cut the true one." Alma lifted her hand. "I saw the bill read on my porch with half the town listening. The girl kept her name." Lena stood. "I did not sell myself. I will not return to any man's ledger." Booker took the forged bill, studied the seal and the lazy tail on the cashier's name. "Date says Tuesday. Bank window closes Tuesdays." Sutter nodded. "Mr. Fenn, your part." Lyle swallowed. "I hauled a canvas load marked RM orders, said, 'Deliver a living girl to Abilene Pens. Pay through Buckhorn Bank.' Clerk said, 'Deny if asked.'" "Names," Sutter said. "Rafe Maddox," Lyle said. "Banker Horace Pike." Deputy Walt Driggs slid in late. His badge looked dull. I set the silver button on the rail. "Mesquite Narrows. It came off a coat when a man dropped a rope for the girl." Booker weighed it. "Pike's shop work." Sutter leaned back. "This meets my threshold. I issue a warrant for Rafe Maddox on unlawful restraint, transport for sale, and fraud upon the court. I also order subpoena for bank records in the person of Mr. Pike." Driggs found his voice. "Judge, you move fast." "I move at the speed of evidence," Sutter said. "Sheriff, execute." Garner took the papers. Booker signed beneath. "I'll ride with service," the marshal said. "Interstate makes it mine as well as yours." Driggs shifted. "Maddox employs men who don't scare." "So does the law," Booker said. Sutter looked at Lena. "Miss Marlowe, until hearing you are under this court's protection, you will not be moved." "I can stand," she said. "You already have." A weight I'd hauled a long time lifted. Sutter rapped once. "Session holds through sundown. Sheriff, keep evidence at your hip. Miss Hartwell, preserve the wire. Mrs. Carver, your porch is annexed to this court. Mr. Ellison, keep your temper." "I can do that," I said. Driggs stared at his badge, then took it off and set it on the rail. "I won't be in the way of a federal writ." Booker folded the warrants. "We walk out together," he said. "Front steps." We did. The town leaned toward the courthouse. On the steps, sun laid a stripe across the stone. Garner read the warrant in a voice men in doorways could hear. Rafe Maddox was not there. Booker said, "He'll choose the alley or the knife when paper turns." "Then we'll hold the middle," I said. Lena's hand found the bank paper. She held it like a person who meant to live by her name. "By 3, Booker said. "We'll know what kind of day this is." I watched the street settle. We had law, witnesses, and truth set in lines you could read. Outside, the air smelled of hot iron and coffee. Inside me, something eased. We wait. "Let him come honest," I said. "Or not at all." We held the courthouse steps like a small fort. Judge Sutter kept the bench inside. Sheriff Garner stood with the warrant. Marshal Booker ranged the rail, eyes on angles. Heat came off the stone like a low stove. "Paper's out," Booker said. "He'll come wrong." Lena stood behind me, one hand on the Brazos paper. Alma and Tess kept the doorway. Ben Two Feathers leaned to the post, quiet as iron. The street forgot to breathe. A man peeled from the bank's shade, hat low, coat loose. Rafe Maddox climbed the first riser, smiling like he still owned the sun. Rafe Maddox, Garner read, under warrant of this court. Rafe lifted a hand as if to greet. His left showed empty. His right didn't show at all. Easy, Booker said. Rafe looked past me to Lena. Girl, he said, you're done being paraded. Come down. I won't be led, she said. His coat moved. I saw the line a blade makes before you see steel. He drove for the side to slide her off balance. I stepped into him and took his wrist. The knife winked, shaved cloth from my sleeve, kissed the old scar, then rang the step. He twisted free enough to lunge. I thumbed the Colt and cracked one into the riser at his boot. Stone spat dust and a chip of granite. The square went quiet. Booker was already there. He struck the elbow, jammed the shoulder, hooked the wrist. The knife skipped away and lay thinking about its sins. Steel cuffs clicked home like a door at night. Rafe Maddox, Booker said, voice flat as a ledger. You're in federal hands for transport and fraud and for laying a knife in a court's shadow. You think a rope won't answer this? Rafe said. A docket will, Sutter said from the doorway. We'll weigh your talk, not your swagger. Garner picked up the knife with a handkerchief and dropped it in a sack. Add it to the chain. Rafe looked at Lena. You ain't worth the ink. She met him straight. I'll spend their ink and live to see it dry. He tried a step toward her. Booker's hand said otherwise. The crowd remembered breath. Driggs stood off to the side without a badge, hand touching the empty place, then falling. Marshal, I said, you still want the banker? I do, Booker said. Pike will read his books to me or to a grand jury. Garner nodded. He's at the bank or in a hole under it. Then we dig with law, Booker said. We walked Rafe down. His boots clacked warm stone. I heard the sound 17 years can make when they let go of your throat. Lena drew up beside me without touching and matched my pace. At the curb, he looked over his collar. You were slow once, Ellison. I'm on time today. We set him on a sorrel and tied him neat. Booker took the lead rope. Garner tucked the knife sack and the warrant together like old friends. Sutter's voice carried from the step. This court thanks citizens who stood and listened. We resume at 4. Alma, Tess, and Ben went to their posts. Cade, Lena said, you didn't shoot him. I shot a stone, I said. That was enough. Enough's a good word. Wind lifted a scrap of docket paper and set it down again, whole. The sun eased a fraction. We turned with the law and moved with it, making a line across Buckhorn that even a hard man could read. Main Street held its hush. Main Street stood new. With Rafe cuffed, folks walked straighter. Marshal Booker left him under guard and stepped to Buckhorn Bank. Horace Pike, Booker said, bring your books. No answer. Blinds half down. The clerk studied his shoes. Where's your man? Sheriff Garner asked. In conference, the clerk said. With a stove, Alma said. Smell that. We pushed through. Pike stood at a small iron heater with a bundle of vouchers and a tin of kerosene. Set it down, Booker said. I am tidying. Pike smiled. Ben Two Feathers closed the stove. You're done. Booker took the tin and papers, then opened the safe. Inside, ledgers in leather, drafts marked Maddox Freight, a notebook with columns headed RM, car nose, delivery, deny. Tess read like a key, funds clear on bill of sale, clerk deny inquiry, fees routed Pike & Co. Garner lifted a draft, signed by Pike, countersigned by Pike. Freight is freight, Pike said. You financed kidnapping, I said. He looked to Lena. The court will demand calm. It already did, she said. You missed it. Booker wrapped the books in oilskin. "Mr. Pike, you're under subpoena. You will stand while we copy." "I will send counsel." "You'll send coffee," Alma said. We set up at a teller's desk. Tess logged numbers. Ben matched the die on Pike's silver drawer pulls to the button from Mesquite Narrows. "Same stamp," he said. "One spool." Pike kept smoothing his tie. "This town is excitable." "It is awake," Booker said. Garner carried a bundle to Judge Sutter. The judge came, specks fogging in the change of air. He paged the ledger slow, then fast. "Marshal," Sutter said, "serve Pike for conspiracy and fraud. Freeze accounts pending hearing." Pike blinked. "You can't." "I just did," Sutter said. Outside, Buckhorn gathered. Word runs faster. Borrowers stood like fence posts set right. What I did next, if it shocked them, it was because they'd grown used to fear and kitchen talk. I turned to the door and spoke where the street could hear. "My name is Cade Ellison. A person is not a bill of sale. If you were traded as stock, if paper called you property, come to Alma Carver's porch at sunset. There will be witnesses and coffee. The wire will carry your names. No one walks alone." Silence stood straight. "Right now," Pike tried one last smile. "This will ruin business." "It will start another," Tess said, "where the ledger has no column for souls." Booker signed the subpoena and handed it to Pike with a pen that squeaked. Ben set the silver button beside Pike's drawer pull. They matched like bad twins. Garner came back with warrants for seizure. "Books to the court vault," he said. "Chain holds." In the street, Rafe stared from the rail like a man watching his world come unstitched. He finally found a voice, and it wasn't aimed at me. "Pike," he said raw, "you promised smooth." Pike didn't answer. For the first time, he looked small. Clouds built thin to the west, the kind that only pretend rain. The town exhaled. We had work yet. Statements, lists, doors to knock, names to lift out of ledgers, but the line was drawn and it held. Evening would bring folks to Alma's porch. After that, whatever came, we had law and each other enough to meet it. Evening sloped quiet over Buckhorn. Rafe went off in irons, Pike signed for his books, and Judge Sutter set tomorrow for more names and numbers. Alma turned the bank key. Tess sent the last wire and rubbed the headpiece dent. "Home?" I said. "Home," Lena tried. Marshal Booker led his prisoner south. Sheriff Garner sealed the packet and tipped his hat. "Sleep clean," he said. "Bah-oh. We'll hold the rest." We took the river road. Water kept steady talk under cottonwoods. The heat had thinned. The cabin showed plain. I tied the mare slack and struck a lamp low. "It's yours as long as you need it," I said. "After that, I'll ride you where you choose." She held her sack. "I choose to stand a while," she said. "I'm not done being somebody here." "There's work," I said. "Alma's books want a straight hand. Tess trusts a good reader. Ben needs a scribe when he prices iron." "Work is clean," she said. I poured coffee and set her bag on the table. "Take it back." She loosened the knot like a woman paying in miles. Photo first, 2 under an oak. Then the Brazos paper. She tucked both into a new envelope Alma had given her, heavier than the old sack ever was. "I'll write Brazos County," she said. "Maybe a fence post still stands. Either way, the name goes home." "Send copies," I said. "Keep originals where rain can't find them." We ate the last beans and a heel of bread. I set the pump right while there was light for a pin. She brought the nail without asking. We worked like people who had been poor and learned that skill beats speed. Shadows settled. We took the step with 2 cups and no speeches. The West held a soft fire, then folded it away. "Cade," she said, 17 years is a long ride. Did today shorten it?" "It took weight off the saddle," I said. "Good. I'd like you to sleep." "I intend to," Leaves whispered. If other girls come to Alma's porch, they will, I said. Then I'll help write their names. I know how fear misspells itself. That's a job I'll pay wages for, I said. I'm already paid, she said, touching the envelope. We went in. I hung the rifle in my hat. She unrolled the bed and smoothed the blanket. At the door, I looked back. Anything else? One thing. If I startle, don't turn the lamp up quick. Let me find the room slow. I can do that. Then we're square. I took the chair by the door and leaned it 2 inches back the way habit demands. Sleep came easy and honest as water. First light woke me to coffee not mine. She poured for both and warmed bread. The river kept its pace. We planned small things. A list for Alma, a note at the wire, a bolt for the pump, a dress to be truly hers. Before we rode, she faced east. I will keep my name, she said, not to me or the sky, but to the day. That's settled, I said. We took the road to town like people who mean to live there. If anyone asks what changed, I'll point to a porch where words were read, a lamp that blinked a code, and a girl who set fear down long enough to pick up a pen. The rest is work, steady, decent work that keeps a door from swinging the wrong way. That will do fine. Night will come again. Trouble too. But this land pays fair to folks who stand up straight when it counts. Tonight we sleep honest. When the sun goes down on Buckhorn, the dust settles and folks remember what was truly won that day. It wasn't land or cattle or ledgers. It was a name, a promise kept, and a little peace hard-earned. Out here in the West, that's worth more than gold. If this story left a mark on you, just leave a small sign down below, maybe a single word, maybe just a dot. Sometimes that's all it takes to let a man know he ain't riding alone.